with car travel down 35% and air travel declining 20% year over year. This intensified boycott could cost the U.S. economy $7.4 billion this year. The number of Canadians taking road trips into the U.S., representing the majority of Canadians who visit, dropped by 35% last month compared to April of 2024, according to new data from Statistics Canada. There was also a 20% decline in air travelers from Canada over the same period. The call to avoid traveling to the U.S. began in early February after President Donald Trump announced tariffs were coming and began referring to Canada as, quote, the 51st state. The U.S. Travel Association warned that even a 10% reduction in Canadian inbound tourism could translate to $2.1 billion in lost spending and 140,000 jobs jeopardized in the hospitality and related sectors. Following back-to-back years of strong growth in inbound tourism, the U.S. is seeing a precipitous drop in international visitors so far in 2025. Canadians comprise the single largest cohort of foreign inbound tourists to the U.S., accounting for about a quarter of all foreign visitors, according to the U.S. National Travel and Tourism Office. The next biggest market is Mexico, which sent 23% fewer air travelers to the U.S. in March compared to the same month last year. Similarly, fewer Americans traveled to Canada in April, with car travel down 11% and air travel down 6% per Statistics Canada data. For more, read the story on Forbes.com linked in the description.
I'm your host, Kelly Phillips. Welcome to Tax Breaks. I'm your host, Kelly Phillips. I'm a senior writer for Forbes, and you might have seen me around the web as Tax Girl. I'm also a tax attorney, and I work with tax professionals and taxpayers like you every day. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get started. This week, we're thinking about retirement. When I was younger, I once spent an entire summer with my great-grandmother, who famously and preciously told me that I sounded just like a Philadelphia lawyer. Her house was in Greenville, South Carolina, a town my 12-year-old self would have described as a bit sleepy. What a difference a few decades make. This year, that Greenville made Forbes' list of best places to retire, alongside 24 other cities like Athens, Georgia, and Apache Junction, Arizona. To assemble the list, Forbes compared more than 950 locales in America with populations above 10,000 on everything from housing costs to healthcare, air quality, crime, climate change, and natural hazard risk. And since money matters, especially for many retirees, Forbes also looked at state taxes, including marginal tax rates, income tax exemptions for Social Security benefits, and other retirement income, as well as the existence of state estate or inheritance taxes. Before you assume that my aversion to sleepy towns is somehow rooted in a childhood otherwise jam-packed with urban adventures, it may help to know that the town I grew up in was much less exciting. I tried to determine the population count from when I was a kid and came up empty. But 15 years ago, following years of growth, the census reported a population of 4,083. So when I say it was rural, it was indeed rural. And resources were limited. We didn't even have a library in my town when I was younger. Television service was spotty and expensive, but we got Public Broadcasting System television, or PBS, for free. We could typically watch ABC and NBC, and if the weather was just right, and if my brother held the antenna a certain way, we could occasionally get CBS. But PBS was how folks in my town watched television, especially educational television and news. That made me a PBS kid. Our family was an NPR, or National Public Radio, family. So when I reported on President Donald Trump's executive order cutting federal funding for NPR and PBS, I brought that perspective with me. I am not neutral on that issue, and that's exactly why I wrote it. That wasn't the only entertainment-related news this week. Monday, May the 4th, was unofficially Star Wars Day, based on the iconic phrase, "May the Force be with you." I spent the day watching the original Star Wars movies with my family, and writing up the tax consequences of the first movie, including the gift tax consequences of Luke getting that lightsaber. If you weren't previously aware, the concept of the movie actually hinged on trade wars and tariffs, as explained in the fourth film in the Star Wars series and the first film in the prequel trilogy. That look is the first of the series for summer. If you have a movie for me to review, especially those with an interesting tax or financial crimes twist, send an email to kerb@forbes.com for consideration. Now let's answer a taxpayer question. This week, a taxpayer asked, I'm retiring this year. How early can I take Social Security? Well, first, congrats on your retirement. And now, here's my answer. How much you will receive in Social Security retirement benefits depends on your age. You can receive your Social Security retirement benefits as early as age 62. However, you'll only receive your full benefits if you wait until your full retirement age to claim your money. For those born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is 66. For those born after 1960, your full retirement age is 67. For those born between 1955 and 1959, your full retirement age is between ages 66 and 67. You can find out exactly when it is by clicking over to the Social Security Administration website and plugging in your birthday. The longer you wait, generally, the higher your monthly payment will be. Specifically, if you wait to take your benefits from your full retirement age until age 70, your benefit amount will increase. If you receive benefits early, your benefits will be reduced by a small percentage for each month before your full retirement age. You can figure out how much your benefit will be reduced if you receive benefits from age 62 to your full retirement age by clicking over to the Social Security Administration website. You can also check your online account to see how much you'll get when you apply at different times between ages 62 and 70. If you're eligible because of a spouse's work, the amount doesn't increase if you wait. If your spouse has passed away, you may be eligible for survivor benefits starting at age 60 or at age 50 if you're disabled. You've noted that you've recently retired, but if you were to continue to work, it could impact your benefits. If you claim benefits and continue to work before you reach your full retirement age, your benefit payment will be temporarily reduced if you earn more than the earnings limit for your age. You can work after your full retirement age and earn as much as you like without reducing your benefit. And some more good news. Social Security and Supplemental Security income benefits increased by 2.5% in 2025 for more than 72.5 million Americans. On average, Social Security retirement benefits increased about $50 per month starting in January of this year. If you have a tax question or matter that you think we should cover in the next episode, let us know. You'll find more information in the show notes. Of course, if you follow me on Forbes, you know that I love looking at statistics and enjoy a good chart or map. This week, I'm focusing on baby names and Social Security. Once again, the most popular names for babies born in the United States are Liam and Olivia. The second most popular names, Emma and Noah, also didn't budge. The rankings are measured by the Social Security Administration data based on applications for Social Security cards. According to agency data, Social Security numbers were reported for 3,612,777 new babies, with male births being 1,845,330 and edging out female births at 1,767,447 in 2024. That reflects an increase over 2023, which reported just 3,595,309 new babies. It reverses just slightly a trend of fewer births in the U.S. since the highest year on record, 2007, which welcomed 4,330,961 new babies. The lists are compiled from names on Social Security card applications. Today, getting a Social Security number at birth typically happens when you submit the information for a birth certificate. If you decline to get a Social Security number for your child when you submit the information for the birth certificate, you can always apply later. But that's a little more difficult and time-consuming, since the Social Security Administration will have to verify your child's birth certificate. That could be even more of a challenge if Social Security offices close due to potential budget cuts, a change that the agency has so far labeled as false. Why get a social security number at birth? Taxes. Your child must have a social security number for you to claim your child as a dependent on your income tax return. If you can't claim your child as a dependent, you can't claim certain tax breaks, including the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, and the additional child tax credit. Additionally, without a social security number for your child, you can't file as head of household or qualifying widow with a dependent child. Your child may also need a number if you plan to open a bank account, including a 529 savings plan, or buy savings bonds for your child's benefit, get medical coverage or insurance for them, or apply for government services on their behalf. Now it's time for a little tax trivia. In the television show The Golden Girls, which TV character was audited by the IRS? Your choices are A. Blanche, B. Dorothy, C. Rose, D. Sophia. I'll give you a minute. The answer is B. Dorothy. In a season 3 episode titled The Audit, Dorothy and her ex-husband Stan are audited by the IRS. The auditor tells them they owe $5,000. According to the auditor, if they don't pay up each $2,500, they'll go to jail. A few quick notes. Married couples who file jointly remain responsible for the joint bill after a divorce. The show got that right. However, as far as the IRS is concerned, a married couple is jointly and severally liable for the total. That means that the IRS can collect from either or both. You can petition the IRS to sever the liability so that you're each only responsible for half, but that's not very common. And one more thing. If you simply can't pay your tax bill, the IRS won't toss you in jail. We don't have a debtor's prison system. That said, it is a crime to evade taxes or hide income or assets to avoid payment. Those actions can land you in jail. Now it's time for a deeper dive, and it's a look at artificial intelligence, or AI. While artificial intelligence, or AI, can take many forms, it's largely technology that allows computers and machines to simulate human learning, problem solving, and decision making. That's a broad statement, but that's because it's powerful technology, and we're still figuring out what it can do, especially when it comes to tax. The IRS already uses AI to select individuals and partnerships for audit, identify fraud, and perform other compliance and enforcement functions. But that doesn't mean that machines alone can run the IRS. A Government Accountability Office study on government use of AI confirms that it requires both high-quality data and a skilled workforce to truly recognize the benefits. That workforce is shrinking, as a recent report from the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration found, noting that there have been IRS job losses in every state, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. IRS AI use includes chatbots, like the interactive tax assistant on the IRS website, which can answer a number of questions you might have about your tax obligations, such as, do I have to file the tax return? Or, when is my tax return due? But limitations still exist. Remember that AI answers questions based on what information has been provided. That can result in complexity, described as occurring when the law is complex and the government doesn't simplify the underlying law and instead presents a law as though it is simple. The result can be that the government can present formal law as something than what it actually is. There are also challenges in the private sector. In a recent U.S. tax court case, Dealers Auto Auction of Southwest LLC versus Commissioner, an Arizona company purchased specialized software intended to assist with compliance in preparing Form 8300. Despite having the software in place, the IRS determined that the company failed to file the required forms and assessed $118,440 in penalties. While the tax court rejected the IRS's blanket assertion that software malfunctions cannot qualify for reasonable cause, it did not provide penalty relief. The company could not convince the tax court that the software was really to blame. As AI attempts to take more human interaction out of the tax process, it will be interesting to see how reasonableness is determined. Generally, taxpayers prove reasonable cause by detailing facts and circumstances that show that they acted with business care and prudence, notwithstanding the compliance failure. But in some instances, taxpayers can't raise the reasonable cause defense as a matter of law. For example, in U.S. v. Boyle, the U.S. Supreme Court held that taxpayers can't use reasonable cause as a defense for a late filing penalty if the taxpayer merely relied on the tax professional to file the return. The government raised Boyle in Dealer's Auto and in a second court case filed in tax court, Murphy versus U.S. The lesson to be learned from both: taxpayers should attempt to distinguish between reliance on a tax professional to file a tax return by a filing deadline, not reasonable cause, and reliance on a tax professional to advise on the necessity of a certain filing obligation, potentially reasonable cause. And that's a wrap. Thanks to all of you who continue to watch, comment, and share the show. I'd love to hear what you thought of this episode. You can send an email with your feedback to kerb@forbes.com. And if you liked it, please share it. You can find a link to the audio of each episode on Forbes.com. And thanks for listening, because paying taxes is painful, but hearing about them shouldn't have to be.
It's Monday. You're not a leader when you create problems. You're not a leader when you're neutral. Don't say you are a leader. You don't add nothing. It's just bland. And you ain't getting nothing done. Don't talk about it no more. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy E.T. and welcome to another edition of Bring It From the Bottom. Thank God it's Monday. All right, look, I need you to do me a favor. I told you before, shut up. Right? Do me a favor, no more talking. Like, don't say you are a leader. Because here's the problem. When you say you're a leader, right, and people don't take you as one, like, then you get upset and the relationship gets, you know what I'm saying, a little murky, right? Now you got attitude, they got attitude, right? And you ain't getting nothing done. Do me a favor. Don't talk about being a leader no more, all right? You want me to show it? No. I want you to figure out what the characteristics are, and I need you to walk it out. Right, so here's the one. Okay, so you know you're a leader when y'all ever saw that before? Like, you know you're a leader when you solve problems, not create them. All right, I'm gonna say it one more time. You gotta get that one. I just slow that one down. You know you are a leader when you solve problems, when you see problems, you run to problems. Right? Listen to me very closely. You're not a leader when you create problems. Now watch this. This gonna blow your mind. You're not a leader when you're neutral. You feel me? And I just want you to know something. Like, when you're a leader, I promise you, there's doors that's going to open for you, opportunities you're going to get, stuff that's going to happen for you. The green going to be green, the blue going to be blue. And so I'm not talking about necessarily just a job, but you need to be a leader in your home. You need to be a leader at your church. You need to be a leader in your community. So I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to ask you a question. Listen to me. Don't talk about it no more. Like, figure out what are the most essential characteristics of a leader, and then go do that. All right, so I got 3 questions for you. Number one, when you show up to a place or when you do your approach, does it cause problems? Number one, listen to me very closely. Don't take it personal. Like, this ain't, don't try to evaluate this. Don't try to deflect this or analyze it. I'm just asking you a question. When you show up to a place, new problems usually come with you. When you do your approach, the way you do your approach, new problems show up with you. All right, number two, when you show up to a place or you do your approach, is it nothing? You don't add nothing. It's like there's no seasoning, right? It's just bland, right? Because a lot of you may not cause problems, but number two, you're not really adding nothing. You're not enhancing it. You're not taking it to another level. But the final one is you see a problem, right? You attack it. You're excited about it. You love it. You come up with a solution for it, and it disappears when you show up. Come on. When you show up to a place, do the problems that once exist go away? When you show up to a place and you do your approach, do they evaporate? I'm telling you. And listen to me very closely before we get out of here. If you show up to a place and the problems that once exist don't exist no more, I guarantee you they're gonna find a place for you. I guarantee you money gonna come to you. I guarantee you you're gonna go to another. It's your boy E.T. Listen to me very closely. Small steps, great distances. Now you know. Let's go. Dear most kindly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for life, health, and for strength, and for your many blessings. Lord, we're asking in a special way that you would help us to show. When we read the word, they would be blind and you show up, and then they could see. When you show up, they had leprosy, and then all of a sudden their skin was like a baby, Father. Before you got there was a major challenge, a major problem. The child was dead. Then you showed up, and when you showed up, that child had life again. That's what we're asking for, Lord. We're asking for the power not to run from problems, not to create or spread problems. We're asking for the power to show up. And when we show up in your power and in your prayer, when we show up the way you created and designed us to be, when we get to the problem, Lord, we will be the solution to the problem. So again, we thank you, we praise you, Lord. Take away that thing in us that creates problems. Take away that thing that allows us to take a little small something and turn it into a molehill and just expand it and gossip and backbite and talk negative and just spread it. Lord, take that from us and put us in a place where when we show up to a problem no longer exists and the place is better than it was before we got there. These things we ask you to help us to be the best leaders we can be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki. Unless you've been sleeping under a rock, all the world is talking today is this thing here. Department of Government Efficiency. There's no such thing as this. That's what we're going to talk about today, is because my friend, Donald Trump, I've written 2 books with Donald. This is one, Midas Touch, Entrepreneurs, and this is the one that's more applicable today, is Why We Want You to Be Rich. I do practice what I teach. So the reason Doge is important here, I think it's kind of silly, but people are rioting, protesting, attacking Tesla cars. What is wrong with those people? You would not have this and go broke. Tesla, Elon Musk is a genius of our times. The government couldn't get the astronaut out of space, so they're orbiting forever out of space. Elon steps in and he sends his own rocket up, picks him up, brings it back down. People attack his Teslas. What the heck is wrong with people? I just don't get it. So we're going to talk about why it's important. And this goes into a little bit of economics. The biggest problem is debt in America today. What happened in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and that allowed the government to just print. I covered it here in this book here. Fake is what happened in 71. Money became fake. So you want to find out more about it? That's this book here. All of this is financial fucking literacy. Why don't they teach us at school? Well, they're using this because teachers don't know it. How can they teach it, right? So that's why I think school's a waste of time for many people. I went to school, I have a Bachelor of Science degree, except for BS, that's all it was. So here it is. When I talk to people, whether economists, I'm not an economist, I'm an entrepreneur. We talk about the debt to GDP rate. Why is this important? Because this was growing so big. It was under control. And my friend here, Donald, while we want you to be rich, he and I could see this coming years ago. And what's happening today, this is growing faster than this. So what Trump is trying to stop and Elon Musk is trying to stop, even Warren Buffett says it's a good idea, because we're bankrupt anyway. What happens if that goes up and this goes down, which we're going into right now, is you don't make enough money to pay that off. And you don't make that money, you can't pay it off, this goes up and up and up and up. And we'll take it for a minute. But when President Trump was, I know most of you guys hate him out there, he's a good man, good friend of mine, his sons and I are good friends. But this is why the Department of Government Efficiency, he and Musk, are doing their best to get this up here and reduce this. Let's say you make $10,000, but you have $10,000 in debt. What's happening to many people right now, their debt is going faster. So you use my credit cards and all this. And our schools still don't teach us anything about money. Those teachers are criminals for not teaching that stuff. This is so simple. You gotta make more of this to pay for this. What's happening right now, it's contracting, it's going down, and this is going up. This is called the debt spiral. we're going bankrupt. And that's what I'm concerned about right now. I suggest, and nothing has changed for me, I keep saying the same thing. If you want to protect yourself, stay away from fake money. The dollar is no fake money. This here is fake. They just print as much as they like of it. And what that causes, as they say, is inflation. Inflation isn't caused by printing too much money. Inflation means the purchasing power of your money comes down. That's what it means. Well, the reason so many, I hate to say it, foolish people are living on credit cards, their debt keeps going up, but they're not doing anything to improve their GDP. There's things you can do. You can invest, you can play the stock market, you can get into the job, you can do things like this. But most people are, because they're not educated by our school system. And I grew up with a bunch of school teachers, and they're not the buddy snatching blocks. The good people, also, 40% people. But that's just one job. You know, this is Joe Schmo and his wife here. They live on credit card to credit card. And instead of studying, playing my cash flow board game, learning to invest, they just keep getting deeper in debt. Individuals are going bankrupt. These people today, a lot of them are called homeless. They can't afford to live because they have no GDP. That means they don't produce any income. If you don't produce any income, then this will wipe you out. The homeless person has none of this. So that's why I want to mention that quote out of 1997. And I provided to school teachers about money. It's called financial literacy. Literacy were the words in the language of money. That's all our schools have to teach us, but they're too effing lazy. Which I think that's why Donald Trump's shutting down the Department of Education. I feel for the teachers too, because my whole family of teachers. And they go, oh, what's my job? When a teacher loses their job here, a lot of them have no other skills. They have no other skills to make money. Oh, we need a job. I can teach. I need a government job. That's my family. They're good people, but they never did anything to improve this. What can you do to make more money? So this is Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. I think Donald Trump's doing a great job. Elon Musk is doing a great job. I know they hate it. People are trying to shoot him. They're trashing Elon Musk's Tesla factories. Warren Buffett says they're doing a great job, but it's these school teachers that don't teach us this. This is basic fundamental. How long did it take you to teach you this? 10 minutes? But the school teachers don't. That's and that's why what Rich said for that's called financial literacy. They don't work for this trash. I say gold, silver, Bitcoin. I want to stay away from this stuff. Because gold, silver, and Bitcoin, not that they're going up, this is coming down. But then the teacher's like, oh, it's inflation. It's inflation. It's not inflation. It's the devaluation of your money. That's why this book here, I gave 3 basic rules for my rich. Number 1, the rich don't work for money, because this is trash. Number 2, they don't save money, because this is trash. And number 3, they don't call their house an asset, because it's really a liability. It's called financial literacy. And if we spend some time teaching people those simple rules, that the GDP, it's not that hard. So we talk about my friend Dave Ramsey. He and I say opposite things. He says live debt free. I agree. You should live debt free, especially overseas. But on this side here, you have to learn to use debt because debt or credit is money. Debt is like a gun. You can defend yourself or you can kill yourself. I agree with Dave Ramsey. He says live debt free on this. We're going to move over here and you better understand how money is debt. In 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and the U.S. dollar became debt. It became toilet. So that's why I don't work for money. I work for gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate. Yeah, that's the difference. If not change your mind, come here and do this stuff.
Welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast, man. It is my job to go find people that are winning as entrepreneurs and bring the stories. I gotta interview them. I gotta ask the questions because you too can make money as an entrepreneur. And I'm so pro entrepreneurship. I feel like everyone should be an entrepreneur. I know it's be an entrepreneur, but I think everybody should be an entrepreneur. And you know what someone's thinking right now, well, entrepreneurship ain't for everybody. It's long nights. No, I don't care about none of that. I think you need to have a long night at some point. You need to put your brain on something and not be a robot. I don't care if you don't even make any money as an entrepreneur. I think you should figure out a way to have an idea and turn that idea into something, even if it's a hobby. Or you're a social entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Martin Luther King was a social entrepreneur. He went out, had an idea, and said, I'm going to go build the thing that I see in my head. And today is no different. We have a young man here who has a very interesting story about the Social Proof podcast. So I just, in my own satisfaction, I like to start that story. Doug, what up, man?
How you feeling, bro? Pleasure to be here, man. Got time to put a thing. It's full circle, man.
Tell me about it.
Man, listen, this is definitely the podcast that started everything for me. Literally started everything. I remember this was 2021, not too long ago. I'm on the forklift listening to the Social Proof podcast every morning, pulling pallets down, unloading trucks, because whenever I first started, it was something that was ingrained in my brain. It was like, you cannot get rich by working a job.
That's a fact.
And I used to be at work hearing this, but I was scared to take that leap of faith. So with you and the G that you were giving, without even really knowing who I was at the time, just propelling me to go forward and giving me that push and motivation, bro. Like I said, I gotta salute you for that. And the Social Proof podcast.
Sure. Thank you, man. Thank you. And I gotta edit it because I found out that you can get rich working a job, but you gotta be like the CEO of Pepsi or something. or you have to work the job and take the money and put it into something that's gonna allow you to be rich. But for the most part, man, it's very, very difficult when someone else dictates what you do and how much you make.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I feel comfortable talking about it. Like, even with Kay is my assistant, and I be pushing her all the time. Do something, something. Even if it doesn't work out, I think for your character, like, to be able to do something and build it. I'm just super excited about that. So you was on a forklift in 2021.
Yes, sir.
When did you get off the forklift?
July 2021. So May of 2021, that's when I first invested into entrepreneurship. And the scariest thing that I ever did.
What was the business?
Essentially, I invested $1,2,500, right?
$2,500. How much were you making at the job?
$573 a week.
What?
$573. So you can imagine whenever I made that $2,500 investment, how scared I was. I had an ILO card, right? This is if anybody familiar with credit, ILO card, and we're gonna jump into some credit later, but that card was specifically tailored towards people with low credit scores. So I had to move some funds around to be able to max it out to invest into myself. And that's when I said it was the scariest time of my life. I had to sit down with my wife. I was like, listen, in a couple of weeks I'm gonna be, I get paid, I'm gonna be investing into this mentorship. And she was like, mentor, $2,500? Do you know this person? You know all the scamming that's going on online and doing things like that? So it was the scariest thing that I ever did in my life. And then from there, but like it's been up. So that was May of 2021. July 2021, I put my 2-week notice in, and I just left. I just bet on myself. Of course, from the information that was provided in mentorship, the community, everything just took off from there, man.
So, as I'm listening to the story, you didn't even invest $2,500. You invested 5 weeks of your life.
Exactly.
5 weeks?
Exactly.
To invest in some mentorship.
Scariest thing I ever did in my life.
Describe the feeling of
Fear. Uncertainty. Marcus would tell you, like I was in his DMs. I go, what all comes with this? Like, are we gonna get this? Are we gonna get that? Just asking me. You know how it is, man. People, whenever you make that first investment into yourself, I seen it online before, like, as African Americans, we have a dope dealer mentality. I wanted to know, like, how fast can I make this money back? I'm giving it $2,500. Like, bro, how fast can I get it back? So, uncertain, scared, nervous. But in every entrepreneur's life, you gotta go through it.
Yeah. So, in 2 months from that decision, in 2 months you left your job. But why did you leave the job?
So I had been in the community just providing value, liquidation of credit cards, return of manufacturer spending. So I was the one in the group that was giving people the game of manufacturer spending, how to.
But you didn't know any of this before the mentorship.
I did not know any of this. But it was a lock-in period that I think everybody should go through. To where I was big on parlay cards, big into sports gambling, all of these things, but like $50, $60 a week, that adds up when you're making $500. So I just went cold turkey and just left all of it alone. I was like, you know what? I'm invested into growing myself. And then really the main thing that made me really want to leave the job is that I had my second son that was born. And I just having to leave out of the house every day and like, bro, my wife is at home. Of course, was born right after COVID. And I couldn't leave my kid at home every day. Like, so I'm just waking up and going to work with somebody for minimum wage, I might as well call it, and seeing his face every morning that I had to leave, putting him in the hands of my mother, his grandmother, etc. I was like, man, I had to take full responsibility of my responsibilities.
Oh my God, bro. And typically, having a child isn't typically the reason to leave a job. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I leave more early, get some more hours. And you are a different breed.
Listen, everything I do is for the kids, man.
Yeah, how many kids you got?
3, 6, 5, and 2. You know,
100%.
you know,
I
that's
have 2 little ones and a 14-year-old.
Come on.
I love them so much. They drive me nuts.
Man, you see the gray, man. You see it, man. Here, listen.
I love it. I took my daughter on so we have to leave the house sometimes, and we're able to sit her and we're going on a date. And like, oh, mom and dad's going on a date. So for her birthday, we asked, what do you want for her birthday? She said, I want to go on a date with my daddy. So we went on a date. She got all dressed up. She's like, Mommy, make my makeup and all that kind of stuff. It was just so fly. So yesterday I got home and she said, my wife was like, yo, she was crying all day. And I'm like, why are you crying? She's like, because I want to have a date with my daddy. And I'm like, all right, man. Let's just go. Where you want to go? She wanted to go to no pizza spot. So we went to no pizza spot. Transport. She just so like prissy. She's 4 years old. She's so prissy. And she says, how does a lady eat pizza on a date? And I was like, oh. So yeah, I better go home. So, yes, sir. Moral story, you have something to pull to make certain decisions. And I think we won't have that yet.
I think, not to cut you off, but I think it's nothing comparable to being a parent. And no shade to anybody who does not have kids, but it's a different type of grind. Your why is much more stronger. Everybody always talks about figure out your why. As long as your why is strong enough, you'll go for it. But I think at the top of the why is the kids.
For sure.
It's undebatable.
So walk me through some of your successes as an entrepreneur. So you get personal and business funding?
For sure. So I do offer funding as a service, but my approach is a lot different than most. I teach people how to fish for themselves because, you know, a lot of people have funding businesses. We charge commission fees anywhere from 8 to 12%, right?
Explain that model real quick.
So, because we have direct relationships with internal bankers, we build out a Rolodex of bankers, which I'm going to give you all the game on how to do that. But we build out a Rolodex of bankers, and for the people who don't want to do the work, you know, typically in entrepreneurship, you know, people are lazy, right? So people who don't want to do the work, we get the funding for them, but of course we charge a commission fee on top of that. So we have bankers that's inside of the bank that we have built relationships with. You got to understand how bankers get paid. This is what nobody really knows until you understand the banking sector.
That's why we're here.
That's exactly why we're here. Bankers get paid off of, one, how much you spend on the credit cards. That's a lot of things that people don't know.
Really?
And secondly, off of how many approvals that they get you. So if I have an entrepreneur or a client that comes in and they say, hey, I want to go for a business credit card with Bank of America, for example. I have a personal rep inside of Bank of America. I come to him, listen, this is my guy David. He's doing, you know, more times 6 figures, more times 7 figures annually. They want to prioritize you based on your revenue. Because if you're making more money, guess what? You're going to spend more money.
Right.
So when you have premier clients, similar to like a Chase, you know, I'm pretty sure you're a Chase premier client, private client, right? We're categorized differently in the banker's eyes. So every time that you spend on that card, that banker makes 0.01% or depending on like where they at in the total poll. So it's a banker hierarchy as well. EVPs, which is executive vice presidents, relationship managers, etc. Based on how much you spend, the banker that got you approved for that credit card, he was making money off of it.
I thought it was just customer service. You know what I mean? Like, you get me approved for a card, thank you. How'd that card go for you? Like, make sure you spend X amount of dollars in this period of whatever you get your return, whatever. But they make money based on how much you spend. So they're incentivized to find people that's going to spend on the card.
That's why they prioritize based on the revenue of the business.
That's fire. They want to hang out with me.
You see what I'm saying?
Good job.
And they're going to push new products to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure you walk into the bank, you may just be going there to make a deposit or whatever the case is, right? Hey, David, how you been? We got a new product available that's not available to the general public. These are the incentives to it, et cetera, reward points, we want you to grab this new card.
Dang. You know, I didn't know the game because I try not to go to the bank often, I just don't be going, you know what I mean? But this is new information to me.
I make sure everybody eat, man. Because I do two things. One, I ensure that everybody eats. And secondly, I make the banks compete to lend you money.
Let's get to that. Let's just go into that. First off, have you gotten yourself funded?
Absolutely.
I'm just saying it because, right, there's a lot of people that do the funding, and I'm like, so you get some funding? Nah, but I can help you. Like, all right, well, so you got yourself funded.
I funded myself within the first 24 months of me jumping into entrepreneurship. I had funded myself $1.3 million.
What?
As of today, I'm on about $2.2 million in funding.
You've gotten access to $2.2 million in funding.
Access to over $2 million in funding.
You have access.
Absolutely.
So if you need to invest in some equipment or something like that, it's $400,000. You can go do it right now.
Listen, Dion, talk to him, man. Absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay, so as an entrepreneur, what are some of the things that we need to be investing in? Because I want to paint the picture of the need for this first.
For sure.
We don't want to get into the how-tos, but what's the kind of stuff that you need?
So I do Section 8 real estate, coaching, personal development, etc. But my outside of coaching, personal development, etc., Section 8 or real estate is going to be my second most profitable thing.
And you need the funding.
Yes, for sure. So we're going to get, the name of the game is business credit, right? So I always teach my mentees, other people that come across me on social media platforms too, we always want to structure our personal profile, which is very important. It's one thing to have an 800 plus credit score, but you must structure that profile to be able to maximize the funding. So once you get to, let's just say 100,000 on the personal side, that's when we graduate to the business side. Business credit is known for the 0% APR phase, right? 6 months, 12 months, upwards of 18 months with Elon Financial. So we get that money and then we go, and of course, we can get financial advice, but my particular investment tool is Section 8 real estate.
Okay, so first you help people. Okay, first you help them focus on the personal business, the personal credit side.
For sure. Everything is based upon your personal profile.
I got a 450 credit score.
Come on, man.
I come to you and I say, like, how can you help me?
I can't do nothing for you.
You can't do nothing for me.
I can't do nothing for you. But listen, if you get to around that 650 range, we can push you to some alternative lending. Because check this out. Some institutions, which I'm pretty sure you're well over 800 credit score. If you go into certain institutions, they don't want to have anything to do with you. So there's a such thing called low FICO institutions, the upgrades, the upstarts, the Cobos, banks like that. And you got to understand their business model, right? Their business model is based upon low FICO consumers. Why? Because they're basing off of profitability. You're either credit worthy or you're profitable. And that's how the banks are going to see you.
Got it. They'll charge you $1 trillion interest, right?
You're going to be paying 30-40%. But if you got a proven business model, I'm going to say go for it. If you're a 450 credit score, 500 credit score, and you have institutions going to give you some money to invest into yourself, you got to go through that. You got to go through those hard times.
Go for it.
You have to.
Here's the only challenge though. If someone has the 500 credit score they're probably irresponsible with finances.
For sure.
If you give them some more finances, they do even dirtier things. And they just become worse off financially. You feel me? So what's the advice that you have for that person?
It's the mindset, and that's one thing that really we can't teach people because everybody's relationship with money is different.
For sure.
So, like, I'm gonna speak on my family for example. I'm just gonna be all the way transparent. Like, you know, I first stumbled upon this information, mentorship, credit, right? Because we hear it all the time. We black, we supposed to have bad credit. Like, I heard that all my life. I ain't gonna lie.
Isn't that crazy? That's a joke. That's a running joke for decades.
Yes.
For the community, and we laugh about it.
For sure.
Right.
So, I get my
sad.
it's very
How did
sad.
that become the joke? Like, oh, you black, you have bad credit.
Yeah. So my family, I got them fixed their credit up $650, $700, right? $2,500, $3,500 capital one card. They never had a credit card with this amount on it. Guess what?
You're crazy.
They went crazy and maxed it out.
What year was it?
2021, 2022. As soon as I got access to
It was
the
2001 they bought guns.
2021.
I'm about to say,
Oh, yeah.
2001, 2012.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the black lost weight.
Come on.
That's
It was a buy here, pay here, right?
Come on, with a $200 car for $2,000.
A Crown Vic with that 6 Let's get it. Come on, man. Let's get it.
Come on. So what did they do with the money?
They went on the shopping street. They didn't invest into themselves. But guess what? The thing that I took full responsibility for was telling them that they had, not telling them that they had to pay the money back. It's something that you think that everybody knows, but I think they just thought it was free money. I'm like, that's not how they work.
There's a lot of things you can do with $500. You can have a night out with your significant other. You can buy some really expensive shoes. Well, really nice shoes are about double $500. You can buy a course where you can learn something for $500. But I have something better for you to do with the $500. I want to meet with you every single morning for the rest of your life. Well, maybe not the rest of your life, but every morning, Monday through Friday, for the rest of your life. I have information and game that allow me to build a successful business, a successful community, and a successful life all the way around. But I want to share that with you. But the only way we can accomplish this is not me selling you a course, not me giving you a one-on-one consultation. Because even with that, you'll get the information, but you'll need more. I want to meet with you every single morning. Now, would I meet with someone every morning for $500 for a year? The answer is yes. Actually, we've been doing this thing since 2017. We have what's called the morning meetup. Every single month we have a theme, whether it's social media, whether it's motivation, whether it's strategy, whatever it is, we have a theme for the month, and every morning in that month, we have a conversation around that topic. And I am giving a wealth of knowledge, not only myself, but a lot of friends, a lot of people that you see on this podcast. They join every single week. So we need a community of people that you can go with, and you need a coach. I'm your coach. The Morning Meetup is your community. Go to themorningmeetup.com. It's $499, and I will meet you every single morning for an entire year. Give it a shot. Unbelievable. So you were in the space of helping people with their credit. Absolutely. You're not on that anymore right now. So you're looking for the person that has the credit and
already have somewhat of understanding of how credit works, built out profile, etc.
Gotcha. Minimum credit score that you work with today?
680.
680. So you got a 680, and you have aspirations to go business credit. Okay. But okay, somebody has a 680 credit score, so you got to fix your credit. Go watch another episode on how to fix your credit. How do you do it? It's crazy. So when someone comes to you, I have a 680 credit score. The first recommendation is to get business credit. Business credit card? I mean, personal credit cards?
So that 680 is weighted upon many things.
Okay.
A 680 with 15 plus primary accounts is much better than a 750 with 3 primary accounts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because check this out. Look at your credit profile as your college transcript. Somebody who went through and took a whole bunch of electives, it's not going to be as much heavily weighted than someone who took AP classes, right?
Gotcha.
So if I have, you know, an AP calculus, you know, AP science, quality accounts on my profile, right? Or quality classes on my transcript, you're more prone to lending money because the difficulty of the accounts. So I look at the credit report as the transcript.
Got it. Do you get stuff in your personal money these days?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Bro, that's why I messed up, bro. So when this information first started to come out on a larger scale, when we started getting these interviews about credit and all that kind of stuff, he was like, "Y'all do business credit, business credit." So I started getting all this stuff in my business name. I got a bunch of business credit cards, cars in my business name, all that kind of stuff, and I struggled really, really bad to get over 750. And I was like, I don't understand why. Like my bills are on time and all that stuff, but I didn't realize until right now. Because when you said I'm over 800, I'm not. First of all, for a couple of reasons, and I need your help because I got a collections for like $20 from a health, like a doctor's appointment or something like that. And I'm like, it's $20. Like, come on. But it was like 2 years ago. Anyway. Yeah, so this is new information for me. So even if I'm going business credit, I still need to get some stuff in my personal.
For sure, because when you go for a business credit card, 90% of the lending is going to be based off of personal guarantor, which you have to use your social security number. They're going to pull your personal credit before they issue you business credit.
Got it.
That's why the personal profile is so important.
But I did follow that model of personal first, and then I went to business, but I think I went too heavy on business and just stopped getting stuff in my name because I maybe heard some Instagram, Google, with maybe 1,000 followers, making nothing in your name, just all business. Okay, so we gotta continue to balance them both.
For sure. I still go and get personal credit cards in my name because you gotta think, like, if you can go to an institution, they're going to give you, let's just say, a $20,000, $30,000 credit card. I don't recommend using your personal credit and maxing it out, etc. But you need to show some usage sometime to show the bureaus and show these institutions that you need access to more capital.
Got it.
What happens with most of the people is that they build out their personal profile. Once they graduate to the business, they never use their personal profile or their personal credit card. And you have, if you go pull your tri-merge report, you go pull your credit report, you'll see they have a section on there with a recent high balance. If you have a $30,000, $40,000 credit card, and then you don't have any recent high balance over the past 6 months, you're not showing that you need access to more capital. So believe that, right? And this is where,
This is good.
Yeah. So this is where you have to go, be responsible for. I know that you are, but most people that listen to this don't just go and spend the money and not be able to pay it back, but go and put some usage on it. Because if you're not using it, it's something that's called like a credit limit decrease.